The next question is, as a solo consultant with a steady stream of referrals, I've always neglected building a site. Next month, I'm bringing on a friend to join me, so I'm thinking more about the sales funnel and attracting leads. I hope this isn't too broad, but what resources can you point me at for building a site focused on attracting leads, or is this the wrong thing to focus on for lead generation? All right, so this is a really good question. It's a big question, but I like it. And as a web developer, former web developer, I would say, but always a web developer, my answer to this is dramatically different than it would have been 3 or 4 years ago. Years ago, when I first started building websites, I would say, I'm going to build a site. And I'd start off by thinking about the navigation. Like, okay, websites have a logo at the top, and they have an about me, and they have a contact, and they have services and products and portfolio. And okay, so build out the scaffolding, and now I'm staring at like 10 blank pages. And what do I write? I don't know what to write. I know the about me page. I kind of go there and talk about myself. The contact page, yeah, here's my email. Here's a form to fill out. Services, I probably write a list of like skills I have, basically a resume, and that kind of thing. You're just staring, and then the homepage is the worst. What do I say here? Hi, I'm John, and talk about yourself again, even though it's already all on the about page. So that's the old way that I saw a website. It's a brochure. That was a brochure website. And a brochure is not that effective in my experience. They tend to be all about me. If I'm making a website, it would tend to have been all about me back then. And it would be very horizontal, it'd be very skills focused. It'd be like a combination of a resume and a pamphlet or a brochure. First of all, I don't think that was even then great use for a business website, but now I just think that's a disaster waiting to happen. It's a complete waste of resources and energy. Now what I see on a B2B website, I see now as a collection of landing pages, primarily a collection of landing pages, each of which has a very specific purpose. And if you don't have a reason for the page, get rid of the page. And don't even start with, like, every page needs to make an argument for itself why it should exist. So if we put blogging aside for a second and we think about the sort of typical pages on a website, you're going to have a home page. You can't not have a home page. You're going to have probably a way to contact you. You're going to have a way to, more information about you, where you do talk, where you should, and it's appropriate to talk about yourself. And you're like, oh, you do karate and you have a dog and all of that stuff. That's for people who are really trying to drill in, really stalking you online, really researching you for some reason. That should never be front and center, in my opinion. People would disagree with that, but I don't think it should be front and center. And if it is, it needs to be in small doses, like a little bit of personality here and there throughout a page. But that's not what you're asking. So, okay. So you're talking about building a sales funnel. So for me, I see a web page as, like, what do I want the person to do who lands on this page? When someone lands on this page, for me, my website, it's either like a typical one. My homepage is basically an email opt-in right now. And it says, it's basically a sales page for signing up to my email address. So think of it like a sales page where I want people to pay me with an email. So when they land on that page, I treat it like a sales page. I start with the problem that I believe the ideal reader is experiencing. Are you sick of the feast famine cycle? Are you sick of scrambling some months and like having no work the next month? Are you sick of clients micromanaging your what you do? Are you sick of people arguing about timesheets with you? Are you sick of blowing estimates? Problem. So that the reader, when they land there, they immediately are like, oh, I'm okay. Yeah. Yes. I'm in the right place. I'm going to keep reading. Then you talk about the dream. Wouldn't it be great if you never had to send an invoice again? Wouldn't it be great if you never had to chase people for payments? Wouldn't it be great if people weren't micromanaging you? Wouldn't it be great if people just trusted your clients, trusted your expertise? Wouldn't it be great if, so on and so forth? So yeah, I'm very interested in this. And it's like, okay, here's a step that you can take to move from this pain closer to this dream. Take my value pricing bootcamp. How does that solve the problem? Well, because you stop tracking your time and you actually give prices, and now all of a sudden the clients calm down because they're not worried about the clock ticking, because that's your problem, not their problem. If it takes you a lot longer, it's not going to cost them any more money. So take your time. It doesn't matter to us. Oh, really interesting. What do I get here if I give you this email? Well, you're going to get these 6 lessons about, what is hourly billing? What's wrong with hourly billing? How is it different than value pricing? If you tried fixed pricing, it blew up in your face. Here's why. So you give them a little peek into what they get for their money, in this case, an email address. And, then after that, you can have social proof about why, sort of de-risk the purchase. Say, oh, well, all these people, I even know some of these people, and they said this is great. Oh, that's cool. Maybe I have FAQ section, probably not on an email list, opt-in page. Maybe I have, some sort of, I'll probably, say, why should you listen to me? Here's my background. Here's what's interesting about me. So there's a little piece on this whole page that is me focused, but the rest of it is all about the desired buyer. And then, if you're going to put some urgency or something like that at the end, like, sign up now because I'm running a promotion at the end of the sequence where you automatically get a free copy of my book or something like that. So that what I just described was a sales page where you would typically be asking for money, but I think of an email opt-in page as a sales page too. It's probably got a little bit of, it has some differences because the risk is so much lower and the decision process is a little bit different, but still they're trading something, their email address, and also the promise of future attention to, in exchange for some value that I'm saying that I'm going to provide. So there's a teeny little, but not completely trivial risk in their mind. So to me, the vast majority of pages on your website should be like this, because the website in a B2B scenario and even a B2C scenario, you want to be capturing people's contact information. You want to be able to have a conversation with them. You want to be in a place that you have control over. And I think email is just the most ideal place for this because of the sort of dual nature of email, where you can immediately go from a broadcast situation to a one-to-one private messaging in the same place, where you can sort of do that on Twitter and LinkedIn by having a conversation in chat on the activity stream, and then switching to DMs. But email is something magic about email. Okay, so let me pull it back to the question to see if I'm even answering it, because what I just did was soapbox about what I think a website is for in a business context. Yeah. Okay. So, what are some other things that so the first thing I would do is Joel. Okay. So it would be great if you had some sort of lead magnet, free email course, some opt-in page for to capture email addresses. That would be if currently you have no website, if you're just going to put one page up, it would be an opt-in form for an email campaign or an email list, some sort of lead magnet, this 10-point checklist for optimizing your AWS spend or whatever it is, CEO's guide to non-technical CEO's guide to tech, stop hating your infrastructure, stop hating your software, whatever it is, whatever the lead magnet is. Say, hey, here's this thing and it's free. And all you need to do is put your email address in here and I'll send it to you. A companion page for things like this, which is a nice touch, is when they submit it on the thank you page, you can say, hey, here's the download for that thing. I'm also going to send it to your email so you don't lose it. And thanks for subscribing. Here's a 30% discount on my book. Or thanks for subscribing. Here's a free video webinar that I did 6 weeks ago that talks about the same kind of thing, but in a different way. So they can download let's say it's a checklist or a cheat sheet. They download that. Here's a 15-minute video of you talking about either the cheat sheet or the same topic, but in more depth. And maybe they grab that. Maybe they engage with that. Maybe they don't. But that's just another kind of page that it's sort of a companion page to like an opt-in. So if you think about, to pull it back to my original thought, I used to think of a website as like a brochure. It's like this static big thing that had typical set of pages, and they didn't, it was a very top nav thing. It wasn't like pages went from one to the next and there was a directed flow. It was like this porpoising thing where you'd be like, I landed on this person's blog probably, and then, let me go to the about page, go there, and then back to the top nav, go there. That's not the interaction I want to have. I want to, that's kind of like putting all the effort on the reader. If the reader landed on a particular page or blog post, right at the end of it, say like, here's the next thing you could do. If, you see it a lot now on blogs, like, if you liked this, you might like this other article. But you could say like, they read this article, and at the end, it's like, if you're struggling with this, if you like this article and you're still struggling with this, it didn't help you enough, here's an opt-in link to my opt-in for my free email course or my checklist or whatever. And I mean, if you go to my site now, there's no nav at the top of it. I don't want you porpoising around my site. I finally gave in and I put some in the footer way at the bottom, but I want to drive specific types of people to specific pages where there's nothing they can do but read it. They read it or bounce, but they read it. And then at the end, it's like, hey, does this resonate with you? If so, you might want to look into this next. And I even have, basically that's it. You kind of lead them through the site. And does it make it hard for a site visitor to know what all pages are on my site? Yeah, but why do they need to know what all pages are on my site? They really don't. At least, yeah. I really don't think they need to. I was going to caveat that, but I really don't. That's putting all the pressure on them. Oh, read every page of my site. Like, that's kind of overwhelming. How about guiding me through it? Okay, that sounds cool. So every page should kind of like have a flow to it, like a guided experience. That's how I see it. Okay, so last thing I'll say about this, you mentioned that right now, think about sales funnel and attracting leads. Okay, so you get lots of referrals. Why am I not finding that word? I thought that's what you said. Yes, very beginning. As a solo consultant with a steady stream of referrals. Okay, so referrals are like the best. So I wouldn't, if there's something you can do there to make that more systematic and set up a process around encouraging even more referrals, that's where I would put my energy. If you feel like you've already got that down, or you're uncomfortable with a non-organic proactive approach to asking for referrals, if you're uncomfortable with that, then okay, have some opt-ins on your website. But step one would be to like encourage that referral business. Step two would be to go back to previous clients and see if there's anything, people who already trust you, say, hey, we're offering a new thing, thought you might be interested in it because on that project we did, I know that you didn't have a maintenance thing in place at the end, or whatever the case may be. But referrals and reactivating past clients, if you're nervous about, payroll or whatever, because you're bringing on another person, those are, I would do those before I did invested any significant amount of time in a website. But let's say you're pretty comfortable with those and they're already where you want them and you still want to do a website. I would just make it like a simple email opt-in for something that your target market is really going to value. If you don't know what that is, that's a different problem. And that's where conversations come in. You need to have conversations with either past clients or people on LinkedIn or whatever. Find out what might be of the most interest. But if you've got enough experience, you can probably guess and create some sort of valuable lead magnet and put up an opt-in page, link it to MailChimp or Drip or whatever you prefer, and start and then deliver it and just sort of nurture those leads. Keep in touch with them every day. Think, how can I help these people? How can I help these people? And who can I help today? How can I, send out a link to this person or that person? That does quickly lead into, if you do have an opt-in for a lead magnet, it pretty quickly leads into I kind of need to have an email list, like a regular, I don't want to say newsletter, but either weekly or daily, weekly or more frequent email interaction with the people on the list. Otherwise, they're just going to go cold and forget who you are. So pretty quickly, you go from, okay, I need a website, to like, oh, wow, okay, I need to put together a really good lead magnet, and like, oh, wow, now I have to set up Drip. Oh, wow, now I have to start emailing my list. Otherwise, why bother? So it turns into a lot of work pretty quickly. I think it's worth doing. I do it. It works great for me. So it might work great for you too, but it does really quickly. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to put up a website and leave it there and I'm done with it. Yeah. So you could tie it together with blogging and say, okay, we already blog every week, so that we'll also send that out to the list, and like, boom, there's your sort of nurture campaign, doing a weekly broadcast of your most recent blog post. Okay, so yeah, it's a serious undertaking, but I'm glad that you're asking and viewing it as a sales funnel, because that's what it really is.